What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. The New York Post is reporting that WBO welterweight champion Terrence Bud Crawford, aka the fisherman looking for the big fish, Arum Jr. And that's part of the reason why he's suing. That's part of many reasons why he's suing his former promoter, Arum, aka the Godfather. You know, Terrence Bud Crawford goes in on his former promoter, saying that he's sabotaging his career, he's slandering his name, basically called him a racist. Let's just not sugarcoat this. You know, he's saying he's racially biased. I think that's the word they use in the article. That's just a fancy way of calling Arum a racist. Basically saying that he's stereotyping black fighters, don't believe black fighters can sell for the most part. He cited an example of what Arum said about Floyd Mayweather Jr., aka TBE, saying that he ain't doing nothing but shooting up cars, and he leaves a lot to be desired inside the ring, inside that square circle. You know, you got Shakur Stevenson, who's been looking to secure a unification fight with Oscar Valdez. Arum has said here recently that that's not going to be the fight the Top Rank Boxing makes next. They rather make Oscar Valdez versus Emmanuel Navarrete. Now that's an example that I'm sure that Terrence Bud Crawford and his lawyer are going to be bringing and presenting if this thing does indeed go to court. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But Shakur Stevenson, to me, he's Floyd Mayweather 2.0. And he's got to be looking at this thing, and I don't know what his contract situation is with Top Rank Boxing, but he got to be looking for an exit ramp too. You know what I'm saying? The league too. He might be looking to league too, man, because he was trying to secure that Valdez fight. Arum is not keen on making that fight next. He'd rather make Valdez versus Navarrete. I think Navarrete's contract is actually up with Top Rank Boxing, so they're gonna have to take care of Navarrete. Now, that one thing they can do is, like I say, set that fight up with Valdez. He can make good money in that fight. And regardless of the outcome of that fight, he can set the stage for Navarrete to get other big fights with Top Rank Boxing. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But there's some interesting developments. I know a lot of people will be looking at this as a shocking news, but if you read the tea leaves, you know, Terrence Bud Crawford and Arum did not leave on good terms. Just look at the post-fight press conference after he defeated Shawn Porter. He basically said that Arum couldn't secure the Arum Jr. fight when he was signed with him. How can he secure the fight with Arum Jr. now that he has no contract with Top Rank Boxing? His contract with Top Rank Boxing has expired. You know, and his body language leads to believe that he was very, very upset with Top Rank Boxing, in particular Arum. He was hurt by the comments that Arum made, saying that Terrence Bud Crawford is not a moneymaker in the sport of boxing. Great talent in the ring, but outside of the ring, he leaves a lot to be desired. I think he felt similarly about Floyd Mayweather Jr. That's why he made those comments about him ain't good for nothing but shooting up cars and stuff like that, those disparaging comments. He never made those type of disparaging comments about any other fighter but black fighters. Have you ever said anything about, what's that boy that killed his baby mama? Dropped her body in a river or ocean or something like that? What's that guy's name? He was a decorated Olympian from Puerto Rico. He got beat by Nakatani. Never said anything disparaging about him. Floyd Mayweather Jr., a guy that really got into some problems outside of the ring, but nothing major. You know, he got that domestic violence against his baby mama, and that's a terrible thing. That's one of the worst things you can do, in my opinion. But he didn't kill nobody like that fighter from Puerto Rico did. Arum never said anything about him. Oscar De La Hoya, stuff he did outside of the ring. Did Arum ever say anything about him? You know, with the drugs and fishnet stockings and stuff like that. Arum never said anything about Oscar De La Hoya. So all this stuff could be presented in court if it goes to court. Maybe they settle out of court. Maybe Top Rank pays Terrence Bud Crawford some money to make this go away. Maybe that's the case. But based on what Bob Arum has said since finding out about this lawsuit, he said it's ridiculous. He didn't say, well, let me look at it, without even looking at it. He just said it's ridiculous. Now, Terrence Bud Crawford lawyer said that's typical Bob Arum, not even looking at the statements, not even looking at the lawsuit, and basically dismissing it as ridiculous. That just lets you know that he is a guy that's insensitive to the black fighter. And that's one of the problems, and that's one of the reasons why we're here today. I'm just paraphrasing what Terrence Bud Crawford lawyer said. So it's going to be very, very interesting, man. You know, a lot of people speculating that Terrence Bud Crawford will take on Josh Taylor next. Josh Taylor's assigned with Top Rank Boxing. He's got a fight coming up February 26th against Jack Cottrell. He's the undisputed junior welterweight champion. If he has a successful defense against Cottrell, he will drop the belts and move up to 147 and fight Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, he could petition the WBO, since he's a WBO champion, to get a mandatory fight with Terrence Bud Crawford, but it'll be interesting to see. Maybe Bob Arum might try to convince Josh Taylor not to move up to 147 and stay at 140 and steer him away from the Terrence Bud Crawford fight. You know, you got some guys at 140 he can fight. Teofimo Lopez. You got the Jose Ramirez, Jose Pedraza winner he can fight. You got some other fighters he can fight. Montana Love is at 140. I believe that Devin the Dream Haney, if he don't secure the George Kambosos fight, will be moving up to 140. So Bob Arum could convince Josh Taylor to stay at 140, but Josh Taylor is a big junior welterweight, man. I think he needs to move up to 147, man. I seen him when he was talking with Terrence Bud Crawford here at a recent ESPN fight. This was probably about a month ago. And he looked bigger than Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is a full-fledged welterweight. He looked bigger than him. Now, Terrence Bud Crawford was getting ready for a fight with Sean Porter, so he was in prime condition. You know, Josh Taylor, on the other hand, at that time didn't have a fight that was near. He had a fight, 2 months out, so he wasn't in no prime condition. But you could tell when they were talking with each other that Josh Taylor is a naturally bigger guy. He's doing what you call weight bullying. He's dropping down to make the 140-pound limit, and then on fight night, he's joined the success of being a bigger guy in the ring, and he's a guy that's very technically sound, a guy that's a very good counterpuncher, a very smart fighter, a guy that can bang, a guy that can box, very versatile fighter. So he's actually beat a lot of those guys. You can see it in that Jose Ramirez fight. He was much bigger than Jose Ramirez in that fight, much bigger. He was a much skillful fighter, and that's the reason why he was able to dominate. Despite the judges' scorecards, he was able to dominate that fight. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires, but that's the latest news in the sport of boxing. Terrence Bud Crawford is suing his former promoter, Bob Arum, a.k.a. the Bob Father. And we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. This is going to have a ripple effect on fighters like Shakur Stevenson, in my opinion. I think they're going to be looking closely at this situation, and they'll be making decisions in the future accordingly based on what happens in this situation. Terrence Bud Crawford is like is almost like an advisor to Shakur Stevenson. He's almost like a old big brother to Shakur Stevenson. So, they've been talking too. So, and like I said, Shakur Stevenson is not going to get the Oscar Valdez fight. Valdez is going to stay fighting Navarrete. And that's another example of Bob Arum believing that the Latino fighters sell better than the black fighters. He'd rather match 2 Latino fighters up than a African-American fighter against a Latino fighter. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But, yeah, this is interesting, man. Michael Benson, who's the basically the UK's version of Michael Coppinger. He has an ear in the streets of the UK boxers. He has a very good contacts over there in the UK. He got good contacts over here in the US, but he was the one that broke this story. So you got to give him credit, man. He's letting you know that he ain't nothing. He's just not a UK boxing columnist, man. He's the guy that's worldwide as far as covering boxing. And he the one that broke this story, man, in the New York Post. So we'll see what comes of this. Terence Bud Crawford, hopefully with this situation, won't cause him to be out the ring. You know, I heard that he possibly could be moving up to 154 pounds. That's what a lot of these YouTube channels were saying. I didn't really take that too serious. I don't know about him going to no 154. But maybe that could be a possible future plans for Terence Bud Crawford. We will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But hopefully this situation won't keep him out the ring. You know, you look at what happened with Andre Ward when he was in the litigations with the Goosen family. They kept him out the ring. You look at the situation with Mikey Garcia. That's another guy that had problems with Top Rank Boxing. He was in litigation with Top Rank Boxing, what kept him on the shelf for over 2 years. So hopefully this won't be the case. I don't think this lawsuit will hinder Terence Bud Crawford from getting in the ring, but we will have to see what happens, and we will have to see what transpires. There's not a lot of dance partners out here for Terence Bud Crawford to fight, actually. You know, Josh Taylor, you might have to take him out of the equation because, again, he's promoted by Bob Arum. Bob Arum might not want to put one of his top fighters in there with a guy that's suing him. So that might put a kibosh on that fight being next. You know, I did a video about a possible matchup with a Sandor Martin who defeated Mikey Garcia in one of the biggest upsets of 2021. That could be a possible opponent. You know, I think he'll be consulting with MTK Global, and they'll come to they'll get together and decide on who Terence Bud Crawford fights next, man. He's got a belt, man, so it ought to be some guys wanting to fight him. I know David Avenesian was supposed to be the fight before the WBO ordered him to fight Sean Porter, but that could be a possible fight. But from everything I'm hearing, David Avenesian is holding out for a Virgil Ortiz fight. Virgil Ortiz has a fight coming up, I believe it's next month. If he's successful against Michael McKinson, I think David Avenesian will be trying to get that fight lined up for the summer of 2021. If he can't get that fight lined up, then maybe he becomes a potential opponent for Terence Crawford. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. But you look at what Tim Smith said, vice president of the PBC, basically said, you know, ain't no basically. He said that Crawford is not a pay-per-view attraction. That's basically what he said, and he said he don't want to offer Terence Bud Crawford a number that would insult him. And I know he was looking at what Terence Bud Crawford has made in his fight, especially up under that last contract he had with Top Rank Boxing. You know, his numbers that he's made in each fight have been well documented. He made $6 million for the Sean Porter fight. He made $4.8 million for the Amir Khan fight. He made $3.5 million for the Kell Brook fight. So those are some of the purses he had made in his recent fights. And I don't believe that the PBC will be willing to pay him even what he made in the Sean Porter fight. You gotta understand that what the PBC do, they give you a guaranteed minimum, maybe like $3 million. Then you get the pay-per-view upside. You'll get 60% of the pay-per-view upside, or 40% of the pay-per-view upside. Say Terence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. fight. I think with them, I think they probably give each fighter, well, they'll probably do it like this. They'll probably give Terence Crawford like a $4 million or $5 million guaranteed minimum. And they'll give Errol around a $6 million or $7 million guaranteed minimum. And then they'll give Errol Spence Jr. 60% of the pay-per-view. And they'll give Terence Bud Crawford 40% of the pay-per-view. They did the exact same thing in the Gervonta Tank Davis Isaac Cruz fight. Both guys, it was a 60-40 on the pay-per-view. Now, you know, Gervonta Tank Davis' guaranteed minimum was much more than Isaac Cruz. His guaranteed minimum was $1 million. Isaac Cruz was $300,000. That's the PBC blueprint as far as how they pay their fighters. They give you a guaranteed minimum, and then you have a chance to earn more money on the back end of the pay-per-view. That's how they do it. And I don't think Terence Bud Crawford gonna accept that. If he made $6 million for Porter, he gonna want at least $8 million, probably for the Spence fight. That's just on the guaranteed minimum. Then he gonna want, you know, 50-50. He ain't gonna want to do no 60-40. So that's what people don't understand. People trying to throw arrows at Tim Smith you know, make Tim Smith look like the bad guy, make Tim Smith wear the black hat. But Tim Smith is just stating facts, man. This fight's gonna be hard to make, man, based on what Terrence Bud Crawford is gonna want. And that's just straight up facts right there, man. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But the comments made by Tim Smith, I think, played a part in this lawsuit. The comments made by Eddie Hearn, the Quincy Jones of boxing promoters, always in the video. Remember when the reporter asked him about signing Terrence Crawford? He said, look, man, I ain't got nothing to offer Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is a great fighter, elite fighter. But I just have one, you know, top level welterweight, that being Conor Ben. He's a young welterweight. We're not looking to put him in there with no Terrence Crawford anytime soon. You know, I probably have, you know, I think he has the right of first refusal on Sandor Martin. That could be a possible fight, but that's not a big fight for Terrence Crawford. So Eddie Hearn feels that he don't have anybody that he can put in the ring with Terrence Bud Crawford, that Terrence Bud Crawford will want to fight. You know, Terrence Bud Crawford is looking for the big names in the welterweight division. He's looking for the Errol Spencers of the world, your Danis Ugases of the world, the Keith Thurmans of the world, and they're not signing Matchroom Boxing. But I think Terrence Bud Crawford took those comments and the comments made by Tim Smith and the comments made by Bob Arum, and he feels that Bob Arum has blackballed him and has made him not desirable for other promoters to sign. And he looks at the comments that Tim Smith made. Tim Smith represents Al Heyman. Look at the comments Eddie Hearn made, but really Eddie Hearn wasn't really talking about not wanting to sign him because he ain't no draw or he can't make no money with Terrence Bud Crawford. I think he was saying that he can't sign him because he don't have any fighters for Terrence Bud Crawford to fight. But Terrence Crawford might have took those comments as basically he just saying that, you know, he's trying to make it look good like he ain't got no fighters, but in all actuality, he does have some fighters over there. He's got Conor Ben, he's got Sandor Martin, he's got Mikey Garcia. But the real reason why he don't want to sign me is because the comments that Bob Arum made. So all this has led us to this point, led us to this situation, and look like we're heading to litigation. And we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. If it does go to court, Bob Arum will be judged by his peers. Evidence will be brought out. Evidence will be examined. And a jury of 12 will make a proper decision if it gets to that point. Maybe Bob Arum settles with Terrence Bud Crawford out of court, you know, pays him to go away, even though they don't believe there's no merit to these litigation. They don't want all this bad publicity, you know, this tainted accusations coming on their company. So they decide to just go and pay Terrence Crawford Arabia $5 million to drop the lawsuit, and they can move on and continue to put on boxing events. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But based on Bob Arum's comment, when the New York Post asked him about the lawsuit brought by Terrence Crawford, he says the lawsuit is ridiculous. So he don't seem like, based on that statement, he don't seem like a guy that's going to be willing to basically pay off Terrence Crawford. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts about Terrence Bud Crawford suing his former promoter, Bob Arum. And that's another fighter that had a fallout with Bob Arum. You can look at the laundry list. Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather Jr., you know what I'm saying? Mikey Garcia, and now Terrence Bud Crawford. So we'll see where this goes. Follow me on Twitter, JBsports 3303. Hit the like button if you like the content of this video, and share this video, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.